Cindy here, physical therapist with Adaptive Equipment and Caregiving Corner. Today we are doing a review on this product called the IndeeLift Human Floor Lift, also known as the People Picker-Upper. We want to give a shout out to IndeeLift for letting us borrow this piece of equipment for this review today. If you find this video helpful, like us on Facebook and Instagram, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and check us out at AECorner.com. I'm really excited about this review, so let's get started. As a home health physical therapist, I've seen many clients over the years who have experienced frequent falls. Many of those falls don't necessarily result in injuries, but they certainly can cause problems for the individual and the caregiver in trying to figure out how to get up off the floor. It can often cause exhaustion and potential injury to the individual who's on the floor, as well as potential injury to the caregiver. Many times an ambulance has to be called to help individuals up off the floor, even if they don't need to go to the hospital. So this is where we think that something like the IndeeLift would come in handy. So let's take a closer look. The unit we have here is for home use and care facility use, such as an assisted living facility. They also have units for hospitals and ambulance services. Now this unit in particular can hold up to 300 pounds, but they also have another home model that holds up to 400 pounds. The other professional units have a higher weight capacity. This unit has a 15-inch wide base, which makes it very convenient for small spaces such as the bathroom. It also has a wired remote and a rechargeable battery. The arms on this unit can actually swing away, but they can also actually be totally removed, which makes this very convenient if you have to transfer or have somebody transfer off of this unit into a wheelchair or onto another chair. The seat on the IndeeLift raises up to 21 inches. So here's the remote control. It raises up to 21 inches, which is a very good height for transferring into a wheelchair or a chair, as well as a good height just for standing up. A lot of people that have fallen just need to get their bearings, and then they can stand up as long as they can get off the floor. So this is a good height for just standing up once you're ready to do so. This model includes two belts. So this is a 300D. It comes with two belts like this, and this can be used to secure an individual across the chest and the waist, and the belts go from these points here on this unit. The belts can also be used in a diagonal pattern like this across the person's chest. This would be used for somebody that maybe is not quite as strong, needs a little bit more support. So the 300 model does not come with the belts. This is the 300D. This also has a beveled front end here so that whenever you get on the unit, it's easy to scoot from the floor right up onto this seat. Now the unit can be controlled by the individual or a caregiver. So let's say I was an individual that had frequent falls, I lived by myself. If I got this unit, I would put it in a central location, somewhere that I used frequently. And as long as I was strong enough to scoot myself to this unit or crawl to this unit, I could use it on my own. Now when people fall, that's what they usually do. They either crawl or scoot to a piece of furniture to help assist them in getting up. Unfortunately, a lot of times people still don't have the strength in their arms and legs to actually get up from the floor. So we are really excited about taking a further look at this unit. So let's take a look now. So we're going to show how the IndeeLift works. A couple of things that I wanted to point out. As you can see here, I have the platform raised about 6 to 8 inches. This makes it very easy for a caregiver to mobilize because it brings this handle up to a better height. If an individual is using it themselves, it needs to be all the way to the floor, and this remote control needs to be put down so that they can reach it. The other thing I wanted to mention is this unit is about 65 to 70 pounds. And the other thing that is very important is this unit is not a transport unit. So you can't put someone on here and wheel them into another room. This is just made to help them stand up or transfer into another chair or wheelchair. So let's take a look at how it's used. Okay, so we've tried this in several different circumstances and several different ways, and we're going to show you what we found is the easiest. Now, one thing as a caregiver, if you have a client that is strong in their arms and can actually pull themselves or scoot themselves backwards onto the lift. This has a nice beveled edge, and what you would do is just pull the lift right up behind them, and they would scoot directly back onto it. If they do not have that type of strength in their arms, what I would suggest is trying to see if they can roll onto their side. Now, they can roll onto their side and lay all the way down, but if they're strong enough to just prop up on their elbow, let us show you what we're talking about with that. So Bob, if you will just roll over onto your right side on your elbow, and then I've removed one side of the arm on this lift, and what I'm going to do is just bring the lift right up behind his rump here. So right in like that, and get it in here as close as I can so he doesn't have to scoot too much. Now Bob, I'm just going to have you push yourself up back into a seated position. Okay, so if he can do that, we're going to have him just come right this way. There's a handle on the other side there, and you're just going to scoot your bottom a little bit over to the left if you're able to do that. Good. So then what I would do is replace this arm on the lift. Now before that, I'm going to go ahead and use this lap belt, because if people are weak at all, I really suggest, I really actually like the belt system better than no belt system. How's that feel there?
That's good.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So now I'm going to replace the arm here. So he has two arms to hold on to. Is that belt tight enough for you? Let's tighten this up just a little bit more here.
Okay.
Good. Okay. Now we're going to raise this up. And as we raise, we'll just have you hold on to the arms there. And as your knees come up, as you feel comfortable, you're just going to bring your feet back a little bit at a time underneath you. And this will take about a minute to raise up to the highest level, okay? Okay, now that it's up to the top level, we're going to go ahead and take the belt off. We're going to let them, whenever they're ready, stand up from the unit. If they are not ready to stand up from a unit, we may have to sit them in a chair for a little bit, or if you have a wheelchair, we can also transfer them to the wheelchair. So whenever you're ready, Bob, if you want to, you can go ahead and stand up. See how that feels standing up from this height. Okay. So in summary, the IndeeLift is a very solid piece of equipment that is easy to move into position where it's needed. I do want to point out, though, that if your loved one or client requires a significant amount of assistance to sit up, to transfer from one surface to another, or is unable to stand, the IndeeLift would not be the right piece of equipment. Caregivers, if your client is not strong enough within their arms to scoot straight back on the IndeeLift, have them get into the side-sitting position, supporting themselves with their arms or their elbows. Then you can have them sit up onto the lift platform. Lastly, I would recommend getting a unit with belts, whether you think you need them or not, because the platform seat needs to allow for someone to slide onto it. If that person after a fall is a little rattled or they're weak, they could certainly slide off of it as well. So I would always recommend at least the use of a waist belt and then add an additional belt as needed. As a therapist, I typically focus on fall prevention, but realistically, some falls are inevitable. Statistics show us that close to 80% of falls don't result in an injury. Thank goodness for that. But those falls still leave the individual or the caregiver to figure out how to safely get the person up off the floor. We at Adaptive Equipment and Caregiving Corner think the IndeeLift would make a great option for in-home or facility use for preventing unnecessary EMS calls, helping maintain an individual's dignity, and protecting both the individual and the caregivers when assisting someone up from the floor. Be sure to check out the comment section below for the link to the IndeeLift and take a look at their additional videos and equipment models and information. That's it for today from Adaptive Equipment and Caregiving Corner. Have a great day, and don't forget, if you can't do it, adapt it.